Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I always used to say that these acharyas, they have presented their own view, the way that they have experienced it, that is the ideas that they have given. All of them are reality. That means to say it is coming from their deep experience. And that experience is a guideline for us. Like Shankara has given us a very deep experience of his Advaita philosophy, but together with that, he also gave all these things. Similarly, Ramanuja has given us Visishtadvaita, and Madhva has given the Dvaita philosophy. But they never had any conflict within them. They were together, they were accepting everything. And people have different points of view, therefore, that all these things were necessary for guiding them. Unfortunately, later followers have made them so rigid, saying that this is Dvaita, this is Advaita, this is Vishuddha Dvaita, or Madhva philosophy. I don't want to go for Ramanuja, I don't want to take Shankara. Unfortunately, what happens is that is the process that you are damaging the whole wonderful fabric that is there in this particular culture. I am saying this is that recently there is a small boy, young boy, who was there for some time in Madhva philosophy, but then later on he has to go to a school which is supposed to be run by the organization which is Shankara's philosophy. They respect it. Not that anything to do with the Dvaita or Advaita or anything like that, but for the simple reason that it is something which has the respect for Shankara. He said, I'm not going to go to that school. In the process, what happens is that he doesn't have any facility to go for higher education. He is prepared to even put his career in stake rather than just trying to flow with that. I try to tell him that, look, neither they teach anything about Shankara, nor Ramanuja, nor Madhva, anything like that. They try to teach you physics, chemistry, math, and then you please go ahead. And then skill development and all that. You need to develop that. But then the person is so adamant of that. I was feeling so unfortunate. In this context, I just thought of that. Shankara, we know that he is a Advaita philosopher, but at the same time, look at the way how he has given such a great respect for puja and meditation and this and that, all kinds of things that are there, which are necessary, useful in this particular society. In fact, that's the reason why I say that he is Advaita Acharya, but he has not done the khandana of anything else. He has not rejected anything else. Here also, he is very careful to see that when we think of the higher world, they reject this lower world. It is not like that. He takes it such a balanced way. We have seen in all the sutras that earlier that he has done. He has given enough importance for the people who are grasta and also for the sannyasa. Sannyasa is the person who leaves this, for whom this world doesn't matter. But then he also given sannyasa dharma, whatever that is necessary. But at the same time, he also cater to grahastha. So what are the things which are he need to look into? So that you could see that that's what we have. Pravritti and nivritti aspects of it, he has continuously taken care of all these things. And that's how he also goes in this earlier sutra, that is the a couple of sutras before, he says, Kastvam koham kuta ayataha kame janari kome mataha tataha iha paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishwam tekva swapna vicharam. Almost like denying the world outside, he says that question, who is this? Who are you? And then who is he? And where are we coming from? All these things. And then who is your father? Who is your mother? So all these questions, you see that when you ask that, all this is like a dream. Yes, it's very strange to see that a young man is hardly 25, and he could see this kind of a vision that for a person who is 80 years, 90 years, then everybody leaves this world. At that point of time, he has this kind of view. And then here Shankara has this kind of view and tells people, all these people are just as a jigsaw puzzle that just gotten together, managed here. But other than that, it's all like a dream. There is nothing like reality. It is just we pair them together, we put them together. Therefore, we worked on that. So it looks like the whole thing is nothing but a dream. Leave it alone. Don't necessarily get caught up in this particular thing. This is what one side on one side is advising. But at the same time, that later on, immediately after that sutra, he says, Tvayamaita Anyat Eko Vishnuhu Vyartham Gupyasi Maya Sahishnuhu Sarvasyamapi Paschatyanam Paschatmanam Sarvatrocha Veda Jnanam. Now here he brings about the concept of Vishnu. This is such a positive thing about that, where he says that, who are we? He says, we are all nothing but the same Vishnu. Vishnu is of course, on one side that he is the Lord Vishnu that he talks about, but on the other side, Vishnu is Vyapakatah Vishnu. That means who is there and occupied in everything. Everything, both in terms of space and time. He is one who occupies the whole thing. So you can't be anything outside the Vishnu. Usually he has taken the stand of Brahman. Brahmans seem to be a very neutral word, whereas Vishnu is a very positive word. Vishnu is a word that where it always goes with the celebration of this world. Vishnu again and again comes back to see that you reestablishes this world. Dharma. He reestablishes Dharma. So he says that Vishnu is there within you. Vishnu is there within me. Tvayamaicha anyatra eko Vishnaho. There's only one Vishnu, he is there in everything. And Vyartham Kupyasi Maya Sahashniko. So unnecessarily that without hastily, without having that patience, then you become angry, you become worked up, you just shout at. And that means to say you create a distance. There is no need for that. There's no need for that, and that's not going to achieve anything. But then we create that kind of a thing. The wonderful festive mood, the wonderful joyful mood is disturbed by that. Sarvasminnapi Pashyatmanam. This idea of Pashyati Atmanam, we have to see that the same Atman we see everywhere. In fact, that's what says that if I look at myself as body, then I look at the world as body. I am only limiting myself at the body, then limit them also at the level of body. And even the body is also limiting, and even within that we limit. That's what I was saying earlier. You are a Madhva follower, you are a Ramanuja follower, you are a Shankara follower. There itself you create that kind of barriers. What an unfortunate thing it is. We artificially create all these barriers. And the Acharyas did not create, but we create that kind of thing. And he says that these barriers that we create, and because we have not gone beyond the level, we don't see ourselves as Atman. The moment that we recognize as Atman ourselves, then we see everybody else that Atman itself. I have to work on myself to see that I'm an Atman. In fact, it's very true that somebody is at absolutely body level, looks at the world only at the body level. And there also somebody looks at he's a businessman, he looks at the whole world from the business angle. It is very beautifully said that a cobbler, a shoemaker will look at everybody's shoes. He doesn't even raise his head to look at what the person is. And then not only that, he's so much knowledgeable about the shoe. Looking at the shoe, he can find out the whole mood of a person and the background and what is it, everything he will talk about it. Because that is what his whole occupation is. That's where he is. If you raise above that, from the body level to the intellect, yes, we have seen several intellectuals. The moment that intellect comes up, they get easily attracted to, they get caught up in that. All other things fall off. Once you are in intellect, another intellect you meet, everything just becomes easy. So happened when we were in a conference in Delhi. At that time, that there was somebody from USA who has come, a big intellectual person, has done a lot of research on the consciousness. First time he was coming to India, he was afraid. When I asked him to come to India, then he was afraid what to do because India is a developing country and I've never been to any country like that, India. I said, okay, you can still come, and then there are nice places in India where you get the better. I convinced, and I paired him with another professor from USA, a friend also. They both came together. When he called me first time, when he landed in India, then I realized that he is calling from Calcutta. Oh my God, I was thinking that anybody coming for the first time to India, Calcutta is not the best place to come in. But then he comes there and he's so shouting at me, saying that this is like this is like that, all that. I just had to take everything with my humble head down and said, please come to Delhi, everything will be all right. Then he came to Delhi, and the organizers also that messed up with him. And he was so furious. And then he was in a session, we both were in the session, and then somebody walked into that session. And a person walked into the session, immediately I got up from my seat, and then I bowed respect, greeted him and said, please come onto the dais. He said, no, I'll be in the audience, but you should give me your report. So he said, okay. He said that, okay. After the session, and then this man sitting next to me asked me, who is that? I said, he's a big scientist by name so and so. He never heard that name, the way that I am telling. But maybe yes, maybe something like that. After that, when that session is, when the speaker is over, then I asked him to give remarks, and this man gave remarks. When he gave the remarks, then this person from USA, he heard me, he heard those, said, my God, he's really brilliant. The way that he talked is so nice. And after that, I'll introduce him to you. He came down, and then I said, meet so and so. And that person also asked, who is this? I said, he is so and so. Oh, immediately that person, he said, oh, I read your book. I read, these comments were there like that. But you mentioned this about Prigogine like this. And like that, when he talked about his book and all those things, and he read that, and this man said, I didn't get your name. Then he gave his name, the way that in US that they understand him. Oh, you're so and so. You know what? And I was in the college. You were the person who were my hero, and I followed. He found out somebody who was so intellectual, and when both of them are together, then you see all the complaints are forgotten because now intellect has taken over. The physical body doesn't matter anymore. We are eating together, we are living together in that conference that came to Prashanti together. Every bit of it he enjoyed. So this is what happens. Somebody at the intellect level will only recognize another intellect. Unnecessarily, we put him at the body level. He has all kinds of problems. So whatever that you are, if you're emotional, you look at the world also in emotional way. Like that, if you become Atma, then you look at the world as Atma. That's why Shankara says that Tvayamaya cha anyatra eko Vishnuhu yartham chupyasi maya sahishnuhu sarvasyannapi pashyatmanam sarvatrotsava bheda jnana. Where is the question of difference? The difference is not necessary. At Atma level, there is no difference. Once we come to the Atma level, then we become one each other exactly the same. So, on one side, in the previous chapter, he was looking like that world is nothing. But then now in this shloka, he says that this is something like the Atman that's there within you, the Atman that is there within me, in everything in this world is supposed to be Vishnu, Vyapakatva. And Vishnu, Vyapakatva in that way, the very name indicates that it's variety. So it includes every kind of a thing on this earth. So therefore the variety can be there. So that is basically the way that Vishnu has been looked into. Once you look at that, then your whole complaint, your differentiation will go away. And then it's all right that I like it, I don't like it, there is something with it. But then I'm not fretting and fuming on that. I'm free from all that. I raised to that level to say that I can accept that everything is nothing but Vishnu Maya or Vishnu Shakti or Vishnu aspect that is there. So then I'm not unnecessarily going to argue, create negativity, create kind of animosity. None of these things will come into the picture because I have accepted the variety of it. Shatrau, Mitre, Putro, Bandhau, Makuru Yatnam, Vigraha Sandhau, Bhava Samachittaha Sarvatram Tvam, Vanchasya Chiradyadi, Vishnutvam. Shatru, Mitru, the friend and foe, and then Putra, Bandhau is my son, and then enemy or relation, all these things. Makuru Yatnam, Vigraha Sandhau. Don't try to unnecessarily make much of these things. In fact, these are all the local arrangements. These are all the arrangements that are there. But as far as the society is concerned, as far as the interaction is concerned, there are certain norms that we follow. It's for the sake of that that we keep it. It's like in the play that various roles are there. They are doing their roles. And the roles are only superficial, external, but behind that, whatever that individual is there, it's like us. In Ram Leela, that there is one Ravan and then there is one playing Rama. On the stage, yes, they are fighting, they are arguing, but the moment they go back to the green room, sit together and have a cup of chai. So that means to say the difference is only at the world outside, not deep inside. Don't try to precipitate these things. Some people hold it onto so strong. And it's actually so strong because their ego is hurt. They want to preserve that ego. And a father has father's ego in front of his, and in front of anybody else is fine, but in front of son, he will have it. Son says, okay, I will defeat you. But then father also feels jealousy about his own son. Unfortunate thing that is. So whether it is, and whatever supposed to be today friend, tomorrow can be an enemy. In one occasion, he may be enemy, but another occasion, he may be a friend. There are several things that are there in this nature. It's like the way that flowing river, the whole creation is like flowing river. And when the river is flowing, that the water mixes and then moves from one end to the other end, and the water stream which is there on this side of the bank, at the moment it may be on the other side of the bank. So it just moves away. And all these things are like that. In fact, we always say that it's like a cursor, it's like happiness and sorrow are on the same scale. Only thing is the cursor moves from this side to that side. That's what it makes the difference. Similarly, Shatru, Mitra, it is nothing but on the same scale, and the cursor moves this way or that way. In one occasion, it may be like that, another occasion may be different. All these things, don't precipitate these things, don't make it so. So when we have that, Bhava Samachittaha, equanimity. Now, Samachitta is a very beautiful word. Bhava, Samachitta Bhava. That means have a kind of a mind which is supposed to be Samachitta. The idea behind it is Samachittatva is it is constantly moving. It's a dynamic. It's not that you are static, or it's not that it's only on one side. It can be one side to other. It's like the way that a tightrope walker is walking on the rope, and then once he bends on one side, bends on the other side, but at the same time manages himself to see that he's on the rope and then continues to move forward. And that is what is Samachittva. Samachittva is not a static kind of a thing. It's a very dynamic balance that you create. It does not mean that you expect only one kind of a reaction response in the world outside. It can be different. But then your Samajit Tattva is something which adjusts itself to anything. That's what we have seen in the case of Rama. Previous day it was announced that he was getting coronated. Next day the message comes that he has to go to the forest. Samajit Tattva, that he has shown that when his mother calls him and says that you're going to the forest, and that's a very serious matter, Ram says, yes, I'm going to the forest. And the way that Ram replies to Lakshmana is so beautiful. He says that Lakshmana was shocked when he heard that about Rama is going to go to the forest. Rama says to Lakshmana, the same dad told us yesterday that will be coronated. And today same dad told me to go to the forest. It's the same dad. So do you want to hate dad because he said that, like the dad because of that, what he said? Our dad is dad, father is father. So father's words are always acceptable to us. Lakshmana's eyes are opened about that. So this is the idea, Samachit Tattvam, Sarvatratvam, Vanchasya Achiradyati, Vishnutvam. Once you have this aspect of it, then Vishnutva, this is Vishnu quality. This is we always say in the culture that it is, God is not important. Godliness, that's important. God's quality is important. Similarly, all these things that are there in this culture, like Kshatriya, Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, they're all qualities, and they're all the activities that they do in those qualities that is there. So gunas, the qualities that are there, the inherent nature that is there. So it is godly nature that is important. So we have that, like, but only for the sake of world outside, we picturize differently. Like, for example, a demon is always presented in the form of very, very ferocious kind of a face, and then big mustaches and this and all kinds of things that are there. Whereas a sattvic person, a sadhu, is supposed to be very peaceful, pleasant, simple mind, head, and simple features, and it's not violent and all that. But you just imagine that both of them are brothers. Like, for example, Rama and Vibhishana, they are all, both of them are brothers. So it is for the sake of presenting them, it is like that they are in that fashion they presented. Otherwise, they are the same. It's not different from. But somehow we are stuck with that idea of having different kind of features. So, and actually society also creates that kind of a thing. Like, for example, when 9/11 happened in America, it was created by Muslims, terrorists and fundamentalists, and they created that kind of thing. And the picture of who the leader, Osama bin Laden, and then others, they're all with their beards and all that. And those days, in the aircraft, if there is one fellow comes with the beard, then the whole aircraft used to be panicking in USA. It took for no, we should not have those persons on the flight. How one image can really create that kind of a thing. So therefore, that image that we have is just to depict some quality that's there inside, but inside quality is something which is very important. So Vishnutvam is a Vishnu quality. Vishnu quality is it enters into us, sets into us. That means to say it is all pervasive, acceptable, and then always in the sense of celebration. Here the Vishnu is there, their celebration is there. It's like a festivity that's going on. And that is the idea, Vishnutvam. He says that Vanchasya Achirad Yati Vishnutvam. Once you have that Samatva Buddhi, Samatvam that you become calm, then everywhere that you can see only this celebration, only the joy, only the survival, Vishnutvam. Vishnutvam is the one which is actually, we have this Srishti Sthiti. Sthiti Karaka is Vishnu. So therefore, Sthiti aspect has been covered in this Vishnutvam. Further, he gives a beautiful idea, which is very deep inside, uh, how this Vishnutvam, how this aspect has to develop within us. It's not about the world outside, but it is within us. Kamam krodham lobham boham tyaktva atmanam bhavaya poham atmajnana vihina mudha te pachyante narakanipudha. So this is the next sutra. 26th sutra. Bharati Vamsha is the one who has authored this particular thing. Kamam, Krodham, Lobham, Moham. See that all these things are something which are disturbing. Kama is the, in fact, very simple meaning of kama that we say is the desire. But then much more than the desire, the whole idea of kama. Kama is essentially that I want to, I see my happiness, I see my fulfillment in somebody else. I want somebody else to, I demand on somebody else, I look for somebody else to fulfill my fullness, my completeness, my satisfaction. This is what is karma. See, let me make it a little more clear. If what happens is that if somebody is closer to you, immediately we mount our expectations on that person very easily. What is that expectation? Expectation, you are expected to do that so that it gives me satisfaction, to a completion. Or then only I can approve you. Don't do that, I don't want to approve you. So that means to say, any moment of any aspect of karma enters into us, you start becoming parasite. You start losing touch with your own happiness without that particular person or object outside. And this is so easy that our expectations mount, our expectations work on that. This is what is karma. And normally what happens is that when the karma happens, we don't even realize. It is being satisfied and then you keep marking. And that person also has some expectations from you. He also takes care of that. So mutually that we try to give all this kind of support and all that it goes on. Over a period of time, then you can see that where the karma is, whether it may be a person, maybe an object outside, it may be any pet animal that you have, you always mount this karma. Unfortunately, that is recognized as a sex, this thing, but it's not really sex. Sex is a very small little portion of it. But karma is something where that you desire to be, you are to be fulfilled by somebody else from outside. If you have yourself wanting to do something and then go ahead and do it, it is just, it is not coming under the state of karma. Like for example, I want to make some thing and then I make it and then I enjoy it. It's purely within me. I'm not touching anybody. I'm not going in contact with anybody. That's a wonderful thing. That is fine. But the same thing, the moment that I mount somebody else has to do for me, fulfill for me. And this is what is karma. Unfortunately, what happens is the moment that a person becomes closer to you, immediately you mount your expectations on it. And you don't even realize that you have already mounted expectations. Then what happens is that when the karma is there, at that point of time, you don't realize that there is karma. But when the expectations were not met with, then it so happens. And some people are there who openly throw their expectations and demand. The moment that they see somebody, say, you should do this, you should do this for me, you should do that. Immediately they mount up. In fact, there's another important aspect is karma, that you want to give a advice to somebody, whether the person needs it or not, whether the person really requires it or not, you go ahead and give it. And now that person doesn't take your advice. That person becomes an enemy for you already. He has nothing. He will do the way that he wants to do it, but then you are given advice. Or if he later on follows your advice, he already told you to do it. You see, in all these things, karma is the way that it starts really building this ego within you, ankara within you. Very subtle karma, very subtle ways that it starts working on us. And so many different ways. Necessarily, unnecessarily, we try to work on with this particular karma. And when that karma is denied, when that karma gets hit, gets hurt, then it becomes krodha, anger. And now what happens is anger is the one where it's violent, it's visible, it's very clear. People see the anger and it manifests in the form of you're talking, you're walking, you're doing every activity, there is krodha. But the krodha is not the beginning. Krodha is born out of karma. When they realize that the krodha has become so much and then it's really eating them, they come and ask how to stop this anger. I get so easily angry. There are people who substantiate their anger. Yeah, what else can I do? One has to be angry to correct the world outside. If I don't show anger, if I don't become angry, how the child behaves, why the child, even husband doesn't behave, if I don't become angry. So they substantiate their anger, they substantiate their krodha. But krodha is born out of expectations. And from there, that they substantiate. As long as they substantiate, they don't even want to work against that. You only get angry with the child, say that yes, child has to put in the right path, the right direction. So therefore you have to become angry, you have to even spank it. Everything you substantiate. If you can substantiate one act, you can substantiate 10 acts. So this is how that krodha, and in fact, look at the way some religions, they take it to such extreme. Just because somebody has stolen, you cut off the fingers, you jam the hands, so that the person will not have hands to steal. But in what way are you helping somebody? So therefore, that krodha becomes so dangerous. And therefore, when the krodha is there, if you do not control it, it goes into the lobha. Next thing is lobha. Lobha is that I have something and I don't want to give it to somebody, I don't want to share with somebody. And lobha is another thing is that there's another characteristic about lobha is that I not only that I don't want to share with anybody else, but I become the whole thing becomes like a cancer that will be working within me. There's the story that Rabindranath Tagore said. It's a very beautiful story. I used to say some here and there. I can share that story. A beggar on a festive day, see, it's a nice day, good day, maybe profitable day. Nicely dresses himself. Nicely dresses like a beggar dresses. Because a beggar has his own way of dressing. He comes out of house and then stands there with a bag on his shoulder hanging. And then he would have, the beggars, when they beg something, that they always keep some couple of coins in their hand before they ask you. Because, their psychology, they can understand. If he is fit and all those things, you don't want to give him money. But if you see somebody has already given some money, then you don't want to be first fool. So you want to be later fool. So therefore you can give money. So all those things are there. Similarly, and these are things like, for example, they made like Shastra. The Shastra says your bag should not be empty. You should carry something in your bag. So that even if you beg, then your bag will be filled. All this very educated, that way, in all these things. It goes there and stands on the road early morning, sunrise. Everything looks so beautiful. I think today it's a great day. And then a chariot is coming from the other direction. When he saw the chariot, wow, you see, look at the way. Not anybody, but a chariot is coming. There must be some big businessman, big sheikhs, and he may be coming. And then naturally, even if he gives peanuts for him, it will be good amount for him. What a wonderful thing it is. I'm so lucky. I'm very happy. And then as the chariot comes closer and closer, he realizes by looking at the flag on the chariot, he said, oh my God, it's not any beggar, it's not any businessman, say, but it is the king who is coming. Immediately he becomes very dull because the king will not stop for him. King is going for some reason. So again disappointed. But anyway, it's all right. King will not stop. No king will stop for a beggar. Thinking like that, he is there, but at that same time, at least he thought, at least the king is going in this direction. I've seen it. But then after some time, he realizes that the king directly comes to him. The chariot stops in front of him. He says, Hare, you could never believe that. The king stops in front of me, and I'm a beggar looking at me. He has come to give me something. Wow, again his happiness just, goes up like a parapet. King comes to him and then folds his hand and says, give me something. He starts begging from this man. The beggar never knows how to give. He only practices how to take. And here king comes and begs from him, please give me something. And the king says that, look, you have to give me something, otherwise I can't go. This man, he keeps his hand inside the bag. The moment his hand goes inside the bag, the king is happy because this man is going to give something. But then it comes out and, he's not really make up his mind to give it because it's so difficult to give. So difficult to give. The king is also in dilemma. But then finally, this man dips his hand deep into the bag and then puts his hand. Nothing, unless until two fingers you cannot hold anything like that. So he held 3 grains of rice that's there inside the bag, took it out. That's a minimum we could do. And then gave it to the king. The king was very satisfied. King was very satisfied because if he did not give that, first person who meets will not give him something, that means the kingdom will go into drought. Because what kind of a king he is, that anybody cannot give anything. It means what a poor country it is. But then at least he is happy that at least 3 grains of rice he has given. And the king went away happily. But then this man was miserable. Because he was thinking that something good that he will get it. But on the other hand, the king himself came and begged in front of him and took away 3 grains of his rice. First pony, whatever that's supposed to be, is lost. But anyway, he went around the whole city and then he got enough of it, bag full of things, various things. Comes home very depressed, dejected. Wife asks, what happened to you? Your face looks like you have so much mesh. He said, today it was a very bad day. So what do you say, bad day? Look at the way that you brought the bag full of things. No. The first customer that I met did not give me anything. On the other hand, he took away from me. It's all right, you can forget about it, wife saying, but then husband, no. He says that that's something I cannot forget about it. He was in a depression. It's all right, you can go. This man goes inside and then he's taking bath. Wife, she spills out all that particular thing that are there in the back, tries to set the things all right, the coin that are there together, and then all the grains that were there and then together, and the vegetables, whatever that he got, them together. And while she was segregating those things and all that, suddenly she screamed, yelled. This man didn't understand. What happened to you? Said, who did you meet today? Said, for what? We got something which is very, very unusual, very precious, very extraordinary. Said, what is that? Then he came out and showed that, look, there are 3 golden grains, gold grains are there. Who gave you this? Then he suddenly realized that he gave the 3 grains to the king. They turned to be gold grains. Then he started realizing why, what an unfortunate thing it is. I could have given the whole bag to the king at that time. I could have got the whole bag full of gold grains, but then I did not do that. How difficult it is to give. Lobha is that. Lobha is what you get, you are not happy with. What you don't have, that you look for that. You count on that. That's what is lobha. Whether you really require it or not, you don't even look at it. And how much that your mind becomes negative, miserable. Don't look at it. Mobha, and this lobha itself, you can see, when you have this lobha, the greed that is there enters into you. It also makes you to forget about yourself. Your whole nature of Vishnu, your whole nature of Brahman, that's what you have forgotten. So kamam, krodham, lobham, and then what happens is moha. Moha is where you are infatuated. That means you are in the grip of outside world. That's what is moha. You are totally in the grip of outside world, and then you are tossed around by the world outside. In the process that you are so far away from the Atma state. All these things are caused because of the kama. But unfortunately, what happens is we realize the problem from the krodha onwards. But we don't look at what is the problem created by the moha or the problem created by the kama. Kama and moha are similar. Only thing is at the different levels. Kama is at an initial level, that your expectations, and the moha is at a later, lobha is at a later level, where you have become greedy. Anything anybody has, you must have it, without which you will not survive. So moha, tyaktva atmanam bhavaya poham. So therefore, sit down, think about. Don't get caught up in these things. All those things are there, but all these things put aside, and then try to look at who am I. Atmanam bhavaya. Now this Atmanam bhavaya, when you say that, all that, whatever that I have is an experience, temporary. It's not me. It's all about the world outside. Wakeful, dream, deep sleep state, there's all the experiences outside. And whatever happens in these states, they're all outside. I'm not that. I'm behind all those things. Therefore, Atma Jnana, Tyaktva, all these things, Kama, Krodha, Loka, Tyaktva, Atmanam Bhavaya Poham. Poham, who am I? That's what you try to think of it. You look at yourself. Are you not the same Vishnu? You are the same Vishnu. Everybody else is the same Vishnu. And this, when you are recognized, then where is the question of? In fact, in the Upanishad also says very beautifully, says that when you realize that tatra ko mohaha kashoka ekatvam anuvashyata. When you are able to see the ekatva, where is the question of moha? Where is the question of shoka? Shoka will not be there. Moha will not be there. Ekatvam anuvashyata. Atmajnana vihina modha te pachante naraka nigudha. The hell is not anywhere else. Hell is there within us. We create the hell around us. Heaven and hell, they are not altitude, they are attitude. Your own attitude, Atmajnana Vihya, recognizing, not recognizing, or forgetting about this fact that your very nature itself is Vishnu. Celebration is your nature. Every moment is that you are supposed to be free from all kinds of attachments that are there. Atmajnana Vihina, Mudha. Mudha is not a illiterate. Mudha is not about the person who does not. In fact, Mudha is addressing, even right from the beginning, Shankara is addressing Mudha, but somebody who is knowledgeable. That means to say Mudha is somebody who knows everything, but it's only bookish knowledge. It has not become his experience. He could not put it down, bring it down to his own experience. That's what is Mudha. Now, such a person, when he is Mudha, People read and read and read and memorize and get all kinds of scriptures at the tip of their fingers, but that's all. It has never entered to their heart. The finger that they are there. So when that is there at the finger level, and then your activity is going on in this world, Atmajnana Vihina Mudha. That's why he says that Atmajnana Vihina, those who are capable of having Atmajnana, they don't have it. Those who are capable of seeing, they are closing their eyes. Those who are capable of hearing, they are deaf in hearing. This is what is Atmajnana Vihina. Mudhaha. They are the people. And this mudha, because of their own choice that they become like that. Their own choice that they go into the world outside. They don't recognize their own nature. Te pachante narakanipuda. For them, every moment that they are working in this world is nothing but hell. That's why hell is not anywhere else. Hell is not something that you go after your death. Here itself you create the hell. In fact, you bring the hell here itself. When you come back, you bring the hell. That's why we can see some people, everything seems to be all right, but they still feel so miserable. They can't adjust with anything. They are complaint after complaint after complaint. They create that hell. This is what I said, that the number of complaints that you have makes it so much miserable. The less complaints, less miserable. More complaints, more miserable. And then you create that. This concept is very beautiful in the West. We have the concept of heaven and hell. You do good, you go to heaven. You do bad, you go to hell. Because they have got only one life. And whatever that you do here, it will account for you. That's what all the Abrahamic religions have the idea. That hell and heaven, they are there outside, and then you are pushed into that. Why did they have to create that heaven and hell? Otherwise, if that is not there, then what is the morality in the world outside here? So you have to maintain some morality. In order to make the people to maintain that morality, they have created heaven and hell. So that it's always said that hell for others and then heaven for you. And that's how people also do that. Somebody does something wrong, then he is stupid, therefore he is doing something wrong. When you do something wrong, you say, what else can I do? I'm forced to do that. Everybody tries to substantiate himself, thinking that he will go to heaven, he will not go to hell. But in the process, actually, we are creating the hell around here. Hell is not anywhere else, it's here. Small little thing that you have done, which is bothering your head, and the fear that is there, which is haunting you behind because of the wrong that you have done. You are constantly in the hell. You have not come out of there. The only way that you feel that you are relieved from that is when you die. Death is a big relief. Whereas the way that Indian context people have said is that heaven and hell, that there is another place beyond that heaven and hell concept. And that's what is basically the idea of moksha, freedom. So hell may be there, it may be there now, but then I look for the moksha, freedom. This is the Indian thrust, this is what is the message of Indian context that is there. Atmajnana vihina mudha te pachante narakani dura. So they only experience the hellish kind of an atmosphere, the hellish kind of an activity. They may have everything in this world outside, but then they don't have that peace of mind. They don't have that satisfaction. They don't have the jubilation in their life. I've seen a lot of people who become so serious. Life becomes so serious for them. Only feeling that they have, which can solve the problems of life, is death. Which anyway happens in any case for everybody. So this naraka is something that you experience here. And then you extend it in the world outside, a different world altogether. and then you plan to you put the people under, or you put the people into the fear. You do all those things, you'll go to hell. As the person who says that there is a hell that you go to, yes, seen it. Not anybody knows about whether hell exists or not. But then somehow they always use this trick. Atmajnana vihina mudha te pachante narakanipuda. What's the way solution that we cannot create the hell around us? And that's what he says. Geyam Gita Namasahasram, Geyam Sripati Rupamadasram, Neyam Sajjana Sange Chittam, Geyam Dina Janayata Vittam. Geyam Gita Namasahasram, Sahasranama and Gita. What do you mean by, we are all singing Gita? Bhagavad Gita, everybody sings it. Recently, the competitions also where the people memorize the Gita and then say. In what way is it different? Or what is that Rishi means about that? Similarly, Nama Sahasram, 1,000 names of the God. In fact, every week, that Vishnu Sahasranama or Shiva Sahasranama, they do. There are some people every day that is Devi Sahasranama. They go so fast because they're so experienced. I don't know whether God is clear with their pronunciation or not, but they are okay with that. So it's not the question of you are chanting. It's not the question of reading Bhagavad Gita, memorizing or trying to do. How much has it really entered into you? How much? Then what happens is that Gita has to come from within you. It's not from your memory. It has to come from your heart. Any idea that you say from Gita, it has to come from your feeling, but not from your head. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena, like that when we say from Gita. Yeah, the text is there in Bhagavad Gita and Krishna talks about it. But what's more important is at least an iota of it do I feel it inside me? An iota of it do I have that idea of pranipata? An iota of pariprashna, that sincerity. It has to happen that. That's what is the idea of Geyam, Gita, and others. There is nothing in this world where Gita cannot have an answer. It looks like Gita has an answer for everything in this world. It's one book for all questions. In fact, many times you just open the Gita on any page. Suddenly, whatever that is there, even you read it, finds a solution for your problem. So that means to say Gita has to become your own. That's what Patanjali also says. It's not that doing ahimsa, which you are establishing ahimsa. It's not doing, telling the truth, not telling a lie. It's you become the truth yourself. Similarly, Gita is that you become Gita yourself. Similarly, Nama Sahasram. Actually, many times what happens is that you are repeating the name, slowly it becomes mechanical. First one itself, you have an idea that you are going to have to finish it, 1,000 names. There itself, the evil started. It becomes like mechanical. I've seen people who are saying that Rudra, Chamaka, Krishna, so mechanical. Early morning, get up and then do all those things. And then they're very nice, like the way Japanese management says that you set up a sequence of activities in the factory. Like that, Vishnu Sahasranama is paired with certain activity that you do in the morning. If you get up in the morning, that you do it. And then they also say that by the time I finished it, this has to be done. By the time that has to be done. Cutting the vegetable has to be done. Wow. It's not that Sahasranama that's important, but this your goal that you set up, your idea that you set up, that has to be completed. It becomes mechanical tool for you. So it is not like that. Sahasranama, One name itself can really take you across. You don't need 1,000 names. That means to say that one time that you say, you feel so much charged that 1,000 times energy comes to you. That is the reason why people say that I go one step forward, God comes 1,000 steps in front of me. And my steps are small, His big steps. He is waiting more than I do. So, Nama Sahasram, that's what is the idea. Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram. What happens there? Deyam Shripati Rupa Majastra. There's only one Dheya. There's no other Dheya other than only one purpose that is there. Shripati Rupa Majastra. I should be able to see the godliness, divinity everywhere. Vishnu, Tattva has to establish within me. Neyam Sajjana Sangye Chittam. The most important aspect that most of the time that all these pictures talk about is that Satsanga. That means where that you're encouraged in this particular direction. Satsanga does not mean only singing bhajan. Satsanga does not mean that you discuss about highest Vedantic philosophy thought and all that. No. Satsanga means that whose company that you are reminded of Sat, you are reminded of the divine aspect of it. So therefore that you see the Sat in them, your Sat is evoked, so therefore it is a Sat meeting with the Sat. That's what is Satsanga. Deyam Shripati Rupa Majasram, Neyam Sajjana Sangye Chittam. As long as Chitta is there, the purpose of Chitta, the idea of Chitta, or the mental activity, is to only to become the contact with the Sattva, with this. So, with Sat, the existence aspect of it, make somebody lively. That's what is Satsanga. Recognize the life in a person. Person is a human being. I used to give that example where a person is going to the office by car, and a beggar stops him on the way. At the traffic light, beggar comes and asks for the money. He genuinely wanted to give him money, searches for his wallet in the pocket so that he can give the money. Suddenly, shocked, he realized, forgot the wallet in the office. At home, he did not bring it. Oh my God, without that, I can't go. Driving license is there, bank cards are there, everything is there. I know I forgot that. There's no other go other than he has to go and pick up that wallet. So immediately he remembers that he should go and pick up the wallet. He turns around. But at that moment he realizes, he continues, all this happened because of this man. He asked me for the money, I wanted to give him. But I don't have money to give him. But then he helped me to see that I recognize that. So he pulled the car aside, gets down from the car, goes to him. The fellow is sitting there and begging, puts his hand round the shoulders and says that, my dear friend, thank you so much that you reminded me that I should go back and get the wallet. But unfortunately, I can't give you any money now because I don't have anything with that. Please. The beggar says, sir, so many people give me money. But you are the first person who recognized that I am also a human being. You came to me, sat next to me, and talked to me. That's a greater gift than giving me the money. I'm used to that. People mechanically give money or don't give money. It doesn't matter. One small little aspect brings about Sat, existence within you, existence in that person. All the other barriers are forgotten. That he's a beggar, you are an officer, you have to go to all those things come. He's also satisfied. You're also satisfied. What a wonderful thing it is. Satsanga always takes you to that satisfaction. Satsanga gives you that expansiveness. Satsanga makes you to drop your limitedness. That's what is the idea of Atmajnana Vihina. Hey, Gayam Gita Namasasram, Gayam Sripati Rupamastam, Neyam Sajjana Sangye Chittam, Deyam Dina Jana Aitam. Give charity. Not charity for the sake of that you want to sacrifice your ego, but give the charity because that somebody is in need of it. When you do these things, and that's what is Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate. Sukata kriyate Rama Bhoga, Pashadyanta Sharire Roga, Yadyapi Loke Maranam Sharanam, Tadapanam Vichatyasha, Papacharana. He brings about this yoga therapy concept here. Simple way. Anything that we go to the object outside for the sake of our the need there, and then I take it. As long as that I give object because of the need, you are safe, you are healthy. Healthy way of, that's why it is called as the healthy lifestyle. Achara, vichara, vihara, all those things should be in the healthy way. Healthy way is the way that you react, you respond to the world outside, you interact with the world. Sukataha, that means to say, kriyate Rama Bhoga. Now, the Bhoga can become something like in two different ways. One is that Bhoga which is required for the sensory organ that need to be taken care of to see that I am satisfied. But then a Bhoga beyond that is what he talks about here. Now, I do that Bhoga for the sake of Sukhataha. By doing all those things, I feel that I'm getting pleasure, I'm getting joy out of it, I enjoy it. Many times I suffer, but in spite of it, I do not recognize that suffer. Go to the party, have excess food, and then you know very well that excess food becomes a respiratory problem, this problem, that problem. Your cholesterol goes up, BP goes up and all that. But then you say, it's only one day. Tomorrow I will take care of it. I'll bring it down. So that means it actually alters your state already. Why? Because that you have gone beyond what is really needed, necessity. This is what is Sukataha Kriyate Rama Bhoga Pashyatanta. When you go beyond that, you don't realize that how much that you are actually trespassing yourself. How much you are stepping into the area where definitely this system is untaxed. Is under tax. And then once that system gets under tax, that's when it becomes like Sharira Roga. Whatever that is there deep inside in the mind, dissatisfaction and notions that we created are Adi. Adi, when it percolates into the body, then it becomes Vyadhi. When it is called as Roga, Sharire Roga. Your Roga, your sickness is at the body level. Natural state of the body that is there, which is supposed to be healthy, which is our nature, slowly you move away from that. You move away from that in the form of sickness. At the body level, tension is the way that you come away from yourself. At the prana level, speed is the way that you come away from yourself. At the mind level, agitation is the way that you come out of it. But then we substantiate. We're saying that, yeah, today's world, I have to do that. World is like that, what can I do? So therefore, that you invite the Roga. You invite the Roga. Pashad Antaha Sharire Yoga Yadyapi Loke Maranam Sharanam. A time will come when you see that all this tension, all this dissatisfaction, all the problem that is created makes you start feeling. A point will come when you say Maranam Sharanam. You want to take only the recluse of death. Death anyway happens. Death occurs to all of us. But then, when it happens, let it happen. But then we try to take a recluse on that death itself, because that life becomes miserable. You made this life miserable yourself. That's why that story of a Russian old man, his house is there and then people are there at home. They take care of him, but then, ego will not accept it. Somebody has to take care. I have to earn my living. Goes to the forest and cuts the wood, makes it a bundle, brings it home so that they can use it for the eating. He says, yes, I have contributed, so therefore I have eligibility for food here. I can take the food. So but the son, daughter-in-law and son and all that, they are fine. But then this man cannot, his ego will not accept it, so therefore he has to do that. Goes to the forest and then makes a bundle of the wood and all those things and says that, my God, I don't know, when do I die? How long it will take? Oh God, when do you take me back? How long will I be doing this treacherous job? He's complaining. Usually when people complain like that, God will not listen. But that day, it looks like that God was going for a early morning walk. He heard that, came down, particularly death god came to him, says, you remembered me? Now you can't say no to it because that you remembered. Says that, yeah, I remembered. So tell me, what can I do for you? God says, look, the bundle is too heavy. Why don't you hold on the other side and put it on my head so that I can go home with that bundle? That far, you are thinking that you would commit yourself, suicide, death. But then you don't do that. You still hesitate. How difficult it is. Death, which is supposed to be a very natural, common thing for any species on this earth, any species. You can see in front of us, the species are dying every moment. But in spite of the issue that we don't die, we feel that we're sorry for the others. So this is a basically Yajyapiloke Maranam Sharanam Tadapanam Minchati Asha Pasha Papachar. That's the only thing. Death is the only thing which can free you from the Papachar. Also sin, life. They don't give up in spite of the fact that the death is there, in spite of the fact all those things are. How difficult it is. How difficult it is to give up this Papachar. Na munchati Papachar. So difficult. So that's why Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. On one side that I'm praying, I'm doing all kinds of things. On the other side, I've not given up an iota of my Papachar, my negativity. What's the use of all that? What's the purpose of all that? Wasting your time. And then you feel that you're doing something for yourself good. But that's not so. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. We'll stop it here. Next week we will continue the last two slokas and then summary of this whole thing, how Shankaracharya and the Sishyas, they use this concept of Bhaja Govindam in a beautiful way to drive home the idea of spiritual journey. Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.